La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. 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 La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
These simple words would begin a revolution that would put father against son, brother against brother, and challenge the old order. A nation whose identity was for centuries based on idolatry was now being called towards the one God. Women, previously regarded as property, were now recognized as humans. The weak and the oppressed ran towards Islam because its teachings upheld justice and abolished slavery, stressing equality. The luxurious lifestyle of the wealthy Meccans was at risk. The thought of being equal to their subordinates led them to increase the persecution. Despite their opposition, Islam only grew, as the newfound faith became dearer to Muslims than anything else. The Meccans were forced to threaten Muhammad to abandon his mission or be prepared for unprecedented persecution. Muhammad's powerful response gives testimony to his conviction. By God, he said, if they put the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left, on condition that I abandon this course, I would not abandon it. One of the conditions of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was that neither side would harm the tribes allied with the other party. The Meccans broke the treaty when they helped their allies attack one of the Muslim allies. The Meccans had resorted to violence during the ceasefire, and the future of Islam was at risk. They breached a one-sided treaty, adding fuel to an already volatile situation. Muhammad realized he had no option but to march on to Mecca. Once he fled for his life as a helpless refugee, but now, 8 years later, he marched into Mecca with 10,000 faithful followers as a victor. Muhammad gathered the Meccans and announced to them, bear in mind that every claim of privilege, whether that of blood or property, is abolished. People of Quraysh, surely God has abolished from you all pride of your time of ignorance and all pride of your ancestry.
Now you have to understand that for Muhammad, this was not like any other victory. This was not like the victories of other kings over their peoples. The Meccans had exiled Muhammad from his birthplace, had chased him to Medina, waged war against him, incited other tribes around the area to wage war against him as well. These were the people who had murdered his uncle, had caused the death of his daughter even, had murdered hundreds of his friends and followers. So now, as Muhammad entered Mecca as the undisputed victor of this long, drawn-out conflict, the tables had now turned. These people who had committed enormous atrocities against both him and his friends and followers now anxiously awaited to see how he would retaliate.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله
is the legacy of Muhammad. Muhammad emphasized heavily on the seeking of knowledge. His successors followed his word after his demise. While Europe was lost in the Dark Ages, Muslims flourished in the fields of science, notably medicine and astronomy. The coming of Islam and Muhammad brought the establishment of justice, of rights, the emancipation of women, and the freedom of slaves. He taught that no one is superior over another simply because of skin color. History is scattered with incidents of religious injustice. The Christians suffered upon accepting Jesus Christ to the point they were driven to hide in caves. Time and time again, Jews were oppressed by their rulers. But Muhammad, peace be upon him, began such a revolution that goes beyond all creed and faith to maintain the peace and freedom of all people and religions. In a letter addressed to the monks of the St. Catherine Monastery in Mount Sinai, Muhammad, peace be upon him, granted them all aspects of human rights, including the freedom to worship, freedom to appoint their own authority, to own and maintain their property, exemption from military service, and the right to be protected in times of war. When Umar, the second caliph of Islam, was being escorted through the city of Jerusalem, he was invited to pray in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Respecting the rights of the Christians, Umar declined, saying, "If I pray in this church today, my people may annex it after I am no longer here to protect your rights." The Prophet, peace be upon him's entire life is a perfect example for people to follow. He faced many challenges and experienced rules that continue to guide the conduct of his followers. His example can be followed in literally every scenario, whether ruler, father, husband, merchant, or friend. The Prophet, peace be upon him, that's the best example for all.
The influence of Muhammad, peace be upon him, is not only restricted to his own followers, as many worthy minds have also commended his greatness. The greatest addition to Muhammad, peace be upon him's legacy is the Quran. The Quran was that tool which brought about the moral revolution in the world. The Arabs, a people of eloquence and poetry, were mesmerized by the articulation of the Quran. Its poetic flow and graceful fluency drew these masters of language towards Islam. The Quran is a timeless code of conduct whose teachings are applicable in every age. Success in the Muslim world was achieved by acting upon the Quran, which shapes society and culture. It contains guidance for all spheres of life, whether personal or communal, secular or religious. It stresses upon ethics and justice and contains many scientific subtleties that have only recently been discovered. As time passes, different versions of a book are published and released. But one of the distinctions of the Quran is that it is universally accepted as being unaltered for the past 14 centuries since its revelation. Not even a letter of its original text has been changed. And that, undeniably, is the greatest testament to its validity and why it is a pinnacle in the legacy of Muhammad.